Hey guys, Darcy here today, and I wanted to go over making a beat without almost a melody. So I have a song that went out called She Wilin with my boy Petey, and it's a collab project that we did. So it's a artist-producer project. Basically, it's his EP of 6 songs, all of them produced, mixed and mastered by myself. And so what I wanted to showcase with this song is how little melodically there is in this song, how there's no chords at all, and yet this song still feels full. This kind of goes in my mind. I was being asked recently, and I put out a video about it, about the formula, right? Like, what are you supposed to do every single time? And the thing is that there is no wizard formula, and I wanted to showcase this song because it goes against the formula in many ways. So let's jump into it. So here we have this song called She Wilin. So let me play a little sample for you so you can hear what this is, and then we're gonna start breaking it down.
What? They looking at us like we Bonnie and Clyde. Grab your popcorn, let's take a ride. Seeing us, I know it hurts, they pride. Lurking online and wondering how. Searching to find, but nothing comes out. Putting the grind, it's rolling now. That's just what I'm talking about. Back to when we first met, got a text. I was standing there nervous, and my work gets like, honestly, really, what's the purpose? Caught a glimpse, I was perplexed. Pimp game, I'm like a virgin. Such beauty, man, they couldn't do it. They couldn't fit it in a person. Lying like each and every time. God damn it, I'm out of my mind. I seen what she been doing. She tick-tocking all the time. I seen what she been doing. She double tapping online. I seen what she been doing. She chasing the clout, she wildin'.
Girl, let's kick it on the left. Alright, so we got the basic idea here. You've heard the verse, you've heard the hook. So let's break down what we are seeing here, okay? This is a really simple production, and yet it sounds like so much is happening. Let's first take a listen to the bass. So if I'm gonna blow this up to make this bigger, and sorry, I'm a little rusty with my short keys and stuff in Logic. I've been using Luna recently. So if I play this, this is essentially what the pattern is, and it's really simple. Actually, I'll start over here. This is pretty much the entire melodic idea of this entire song. It just plays the same note 3 times and then goes up like 1 or 2 semitones, 1 or 2 keys up on the 4th beat, and then it repeats itself. You're going to be surprised at how many times this idea just repeats itself and how simple it is. Okay, so if I unsolo this and bring this back up, let's take a listen to the drums, okay? Let's see what these are made of. Oops, not the hat only, the entire drum set. Okay. So what's going on here, okay? It sounds really simple. It doesn't even sound like it's hardly doing anything, but it's really supporting a simple idea that's created in what I'm going to call the melodic idea of this song. But there's a couple of things that are happening here. So the hats are bouncing left to right, so that they're giving there's like a vibe of like swinging back and forth, as well as there's a bounce with them that they have pauses to make you anticipate something. In a way, it's almost talking to you. It's like ba 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 ba. It's kind of the idea. Let's play that back and see if I can do it along with it. Ba 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 ba. So you get the idea, right? So that's kind of what it's doing, okay? And then there's an accent off of that. So if we build this up, actually, let's build this up. So we add the accent off of it. And then gives that space. So it's just playing off of it, keeping things moving, and then giving you a pause. Okay, so we add in like the snare, and then we'll add in the kick. Right, and everything pulls away just for that triple hit on the kick, so you really can just focus your ears on it, right? But again, these are pretty simple, and there's a couple of bit of reverbs added to the snare and the hats just to give them a little bit of space, but it's still really simple on its own. So let's get to the thing that's really making this whole song. Okay, in the melodic area, we have this percussion loop. And this is really what I built the whole song around. So let's play this out and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so now first off, one thing you might be thinking, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is that everything's a wave here because I actually made this on my iPad using an app called Beatmaker 3. So there was earlier processing that was done on a lot of these instruments up front, but some of them was just distortion. This one I want to mention particularly because what's going on here is essentially I started off with, I think these were like 3 different snares, okay? And so I took 3 snares and had them on one drum pad, and then put a reverb on that drum pad. And then I added some distortion, and I was messing with the EQ, and I feel like it was EQ after the distortion. I was trying to like put some kind of curve on, and I accidentally put a crazy peak, just like spiked on a frequency like somewhere around like I think 1K, and it made it sound really interesting. And so I stuck with it and I just adjusted it a little bit. And so I have like distortion and reverb and some weird EQ going on that gives it this kind of weird vibe. But I intended to put reverb on from the very beginning when the idea. And so I'm playing what's I think called a polyrhythm in this scenario, where there's basically a rhythm that's going at its own cadence on top of the original rhythm. So if we play this in conjunction with the drums. Sorry, I'm going to try to zoom in here. Just getting used to those controls again for Logic. If we look at it, the majority of the hits are really kind of happening in between the core rhythm, right? The core rhythm in this kind of song, which is on a trap style, is basically 1, 3, 1, 3. Like that's kind of like the main hits. It's a kind of kick, snare, and that's kind of like the vibe, right? So these are happening on like the 2s and the 4s and spots in between. So it's kind of moving at its own rhythm counter to the main rhythm, and that dichotomy, that countering, that interplay is what's making it interesting, mixed with the fact that the reverb and the distortion on this percussion is giving you all kinds of space. The other things to note with these snares is I chose sounds, and can't remember at the moment, but I may have pitched one of them up, like just took that snare and pitched it a little higher, so they just felt like they were creating a melodic idea, even though they're not really very melodical. What you know what I'm trying to say. So play it again. It's like all kinds of rhythm and bounce, right? And so then we add in the other other melodic kind of ideas, which are essentially add this basically vocal effect. Right, and it's just starting every other bar, just giving that kind of cool vibe. It's reverby, it's in the background, it's enough that like it gives you this cool feeling, for the song, but it's not actually going to interfere with the main vocal. And then we add another one. And so the second one is played just before as a lead into the other one, and it's very counter, high and low, dark and light. And then let's see here. What else do we add? Later on in the verse, we're going to add in another instrument, which is really a super simple like synth. Really simple, same note 4 times. And one thing to note here, I'm going to bring back in the 808, right? So when we bring in the 808, what we're noticing is that we have the dark, deeper tones that come from the bass, the drums that are playing the place that they always play in. And then a lot of these notes are either kind of mid-rangey with the high end kind of tapered off so that the vocals can really sit on top of them, but they are very light sounding, right? They're very fast, very short transient instruments, so they don't have long notes. So, and then the reverb is kind of filling up that space, but it's not the same as like if you play a piano note and just hold it down, it would have a long, heavy, sustained tone, whereas these have like a quick tone with a trailing off to fill this wide space, but yet they're not really heavy tones that would interfere with the voice. So when I add in this synth string, this high stab I call it, it's just this really high background reverby thing that is essentially giving more energy to the track and keeping it from getting boring. Then we're going to get into the chorus, and we add 2 more. I'm just going to take off all these extra solos. We add these 2 more instruments. One is a synth that's played quickly as like a stabbing note, and the other one that kind of pulls out of it and is a reaction. So it's call and response kind of idea. Yeah, and so it's not a true call and response because the one that goes on your right plays at the same time as the one on the left, but it's kind of sustaining the first one. And the one, so if I just solo in on that one. Again, it's doing the same thing, identical to the 808, whereas the opposite one only does 3 notes. And I should just put a loop on this to make it easier. And you can hear it's a little bit ducked in the beginning or kind of like side chained, right? It's just getting out of the way long enough to allow the other one to play first. Right, you get the idea. And that's all of it, literally, that goes into this. I'm going to bring this all back, but like, these are all of the ideas that went into this track. So melodically, there's no real strong instrument at play here. Frankly, there's only synths, and they play very supporting roles for the chorus or for the second half of the verse. It's a very simple and straightforward production, but it really has to do with rhythm, the use of sound and space through reverb and making things wide, making things interesting with distortion, but having a lot of different things moving at once. There's a lot moving with the hi-hats, a lot moving with the percussion loop, the kick and the snare to support it, and everything else is played pretty much just straight, played on the one and keep it easy, because there's so much happening with the percussion and the drums, nothing else needs to do hardly anything. So let's play this again from about, the top of the chorus, and then, you just enjoy it one more time.
Lying like each and every time. God damn it, I'm out of my mind. I seen what she been doing. She tick-tocking all the time. I seen what she been doing. She double tapping online. I seen what she been doing. She chasing that clout, she wildin'.
Girl, let's kick it on the low-low. Can't have you with FOMO. Can't just leave like JoJo. Texting all your girls in that phone, yo. Put down the IG, check out the pro. Make a TikTok, you ready to go. Always keep it clean, I'm letting it go. All up in it, I'm ready to fold. Hold up. Yeah, so it gives lots of room for those vocals, and that's why they stand up strong on the track. But it's super interesting to your ears because there's a lot to listen to, and it's a lot happening in reverb type space. Anyways, hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully it inspires you to do something maybe a little different with your production. Think about rhythm. Think about the interplay between instruments, not just, play everything strict to the grid and layer it with like 18 melodies, because sometimes you don't even really need much of a melody at all to make things really cool. So if you found this helpful, hit that like, drop me a comment, and look forward to hearing what you have to say. If you want to check out this track and the project that it's on, it's called Why Not, EP by Petey, the guy to search for. I'll put links in the description below so you can get to it. It's on all streaming platforms, so hopefully you listen to it, love it, and enjoy it. And peace, y'all. Have a good day.